We're live.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Uh, welcome to another. You said, hold on. Oh, welcome to another great edition of Not Necessarily Political, the show that's not necessarily political, but we definitely talk about it and we definitely share the opinions of what's going on around the world, around the places. Y'all, it is a few days after Thanksgiving. I hope you guys have enjoyed yourself. Want to also give it up for the man, the visionary, uh, the bossy one of them all, Lonnie Malone. Right there. What's up, Lonnie?
What's happening with you, my brother?
Oh man, nothing much. I did not eat a lot of food for Thanksgiving. I'm trying to lose weight. Uh,
Me too.
but I got my mouth fixed for some ribs, some ridiculous barbecue ribs,
Ridiculous, baby.
and not only that.
Warm
Listen,
wood.
Lonnie, I'm sitting in the headquarters of some Auburn losers. You know, they crying as you know. Yesterday was the Iron Bowl, Roll Tide. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say for my people watching. Roll
Go
Tide.
go LSU. I ain't got nothing to say.
LSU. All right, LSU.
LSU.
So listen, y'all. Lenny, a lot of key points happening this week. Of course, we got the Thanksgiving just happened. I hope you and your family had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Of course, yesterday was Iron Bowl, and today, Lenny, it marks the 100th day in of election season, 2024. So the game is getting real now. It's real.
What elections is that? Oh,
Listen,
those.
we have our primaries for the, uh, Democratic as well as Republican primaries going on for the elections here in Jefferson County. And if you have not heard, there's a lot of names that are floating that are in this upcoming election season. So a lot of people are raising monies, kissing babies, going to parades, and making some stuff happen right now.
Okay, what offices are there that's out there?
Of course, you know the United States president is up, but if for Jefferson County, Alabama, y'all, we got um, congressional races all across the state of Alabama right now. We also have um, probate court,
One and
probate
two.
court. We have several judiciary seats that are up. We have treasurer, assistant tax collector. I think we have constables. Um, there's several seats that are up, especially here in Jefferson County.
Oh, okay. So the congressional, what's special about that?
Listen, so here's the special thing about this. Of course, we know that our congressional person chair so will always be up in this timing. But we have the redistricting of the map has called for a special election in the District 2 congressional race, which means it is now slated to be a black district, which means someone of the African American race or of the Democratic Party has an opportunity to win and become congressional member for this district, and it would also give an opportunity for us to have a second congressional member in Washington D.C. In 2024.
You know there are 13 Republicans, and I think three or more of them are black Republicans in that deep south down there. You know,
Yeah,
down
listen,
the
there's a
farther
lot of
you go south, the more the black people are conservative down there.
yeah, there's a lot of people that's running in this second congressional race. I know of this way we have several Jefferson County elected officials who are in that race. We have other elected officials in other districts, other counties that are in that race. And if you did not know, you do not have to live in the district to run for Congress. Uh, you just got to actually live in the state that you're running for Congress in, and that same thing goes for U.S. Senate. But U.S. Senate is not up right now. But this particular second congressional district race is a very interesting and intriguing one because this has everybody and their mama literally running in this race. So I'm looking forward to seeing the dynamics. I know we've kind of talked about what it looks like from the standpoints of having outsiders running in a district that they don't live in and those insiders. But my question would always be, Lonnie, what has the insiders done and what have the outsiders done to gain the people's vote?
Yeah, that's one that we're gonna definitely be talking about in a future show. So we got Congress, we got presidential. You have other candidates, but the primary look like it's going to be a repeat of Biden versus Trump.
Yeah.
Then you have congressional District 2 and 7. Um,
And
10.
let me know there's other districts that are running. There's actually someone running, y'all, against Congressman Gary Palmer. And as you know, he does carry just a little bit of Jefferson County. He has a wealthy, I won't say wealthy, he has a very well off tech industry CEO running on the Democratic ticket to out to unseat him as a congressional member. So that's interesting to watch. She actually has her own money to run, so it's not going to be. I think she can go toe to toe with him.
Now I'm trying to be a producer, Josh. Keep going. Someone is asking for a.
Yeah, go ahead. So as well as, and this is a big push for the Democratic Party, y'all, to have someone run against Gary. That's going to be a very important race for people to watch, as well as the second congressional district, but also in the seventh. Lonnie, was it Womack? I don't think people realize this. Um,
That Terry has competition.
Terry Sewell has an opponent that's in the Democratic realm as well. So this should be interesting.
Yeah, Terry has Chris Davis.
Chris Davis is running against her. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think that's going to be interesting as well to see how that race goes. A lot of people in Jefferson County are sleeping on that race, and they need to wake up because it's important that we take all of our elections serious and keep a watchful eye because anything could happen. We've seen that when we had Trump as president. So anything can happen.
So now you have congressional. You have Chris Davis versus Terry Sewell. You have about 21 in congressional seat District 2. Then kicks off. You have judges that he could be historical. You're the first time you've had. I know in District Place 2 and Probate 2, the first time you have a black woman who's actually the primary candidate for the
She's the Democrat nominee. Mm-hmm.
Democrat nominee, and you have a Republican going against her. So, and that's Jameria Moore. So she doesn't have to worry about this primary, but she has to campaign the whole year until the general. And then you have in probate 1, again, for the Democratic nominees, you have Wes. Oh man, what's Wes' last name?
Everett West. That is his.
Everett West. I'm sorry. Yeah, I call him West. I call him Ed West. Everett West. You have Joy Travis. You have
Lee Loader.
huh?
Lee Loader.
Lee Loader. Yeah, now that was a shocker right there. Lee
Yeah,
Loader.
yeah.
Hey, John and Mac, y'all can jump in
What's
time.
going on, y'all?
You have Lilo Blanchard. What's Yeshiva Blanchard? You have Yawana McDonald.
I think that's her name.
I'm going off memory, so if I mess anybody's name up again, we will rectify and we apologize up front. I think that's all in that race. Then they have they have a Republican candidate. They have the battle in November during the fall, and that's Amari, I think.
John Amari, former
So I'm
judge.
looking at those some good races. Then we have judges throughout.
Jefferson County.
And then we have some constables.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to.
Yeah.
About those, but let's John and Womack speak if they don't mind.
Hey everybody, I'm just happy to be tuning in with you guys today. I appreciate the opportunity, Lonnie, and just looking forward to gleaning some information.
And Womack?
Gentlemen, good day. That's all I have to say at this moment.
And one thing I want to do throughout this campaign till March, if we can kind of jump on and discuss these elections, which are weird because judges can't ask for money personally. They can't say, hey, I'm running for office. Will you give me? Which is weird. So I want to kind of go through some different things like the constables. I don't know if many people, well, I won't say that. I will say that constable. What is a constable? Because a constable in Houston is more like a police officer. You know what I'm saying? So what is a constable in Birmingham, Alabama, or Jefferson County? What is a state judge? What is a congressman person? What's the role of the president? And I think right now that we have some school boards, some Jefferson County school boards.
Yeah.
So what's the because what I want to do is apathy has killed, and again, I don't know if you all know, I think they running a thing on Roland Martin about the Voting Act is up again or is in danger. So as Black people in 2023, we still gotta fight for the right to vote. So I want to kind of help eradicate the voter apathy in our community. And I think we can do that, conversation by conversation, and then just go from there. What are y'all thoughts?
Sound good to me?
Yeah, I think it's important to break it down. We talk about, one of the things that we're worse at is talking about candidates, but we don't really push the factor of getting out to vote, but also knowing what's on your ballot. Not necessarily the people, but the position itself. So I'm definitely down for that.
Hey, Womack, since you were just a candidate, kind of tell the people what these candidates are going through or will be going through.
Per se, as what you mean, what they be going through?
Just the life of a candidate. The reason why it's important for, like in your race, there was a real big shock that happened in your race with Sylvia Swain. From people didn't think that she was going to be able to do anything to end up being in the runoff. So the importance of voting, then I think there was a sheriff race that the new Black sheriff won by 1 vote.
Yeah. So I think one thing that has to be pointed out is the fact that there's a difference of what the Alabama Democratic Party does and what the Alabama Republican Party does. Here in the Alabama Democratic Party, we are definitely money driven. We do not look at quality of candidates. We do not vet our candidates like we should. And what we do is that we rather put 15 million valuable candidates in one race and basically leave the other races, empty or uncontested. And you pay attention to what the Alabama Republican Party did this time was that they only ran one candidate per race, which basically means if they basically have $800,000 in their war chest, they have basically strategized how they will use that $800,000 to support all of their candidates. When we have here on the Democratic side a ton of candidates in one race that could have been splitted or could have been told that, hey, to make sure that we get good candidates in every race, you running this area, you running that. And so I think one thing that we are recognizing, and that happened in my race, like that definitely happened in my race, where you had a lot of good candidates that ran. None of them had the balls, and I said here, and if they want to call me, they know my number. I tell them myself. A lot of them had the balls to want to run in a special election, but there was actually a general election for this same seat a couple of months before with the incumbent in it, and they did not run. That bothers me. And the reason why that bothers me is because of the same fact that if you feel that your way of getting elected is to go out there open seat, then that challenges the reason why you decide that that you want to run. But looking at these races, we have a lot of good candidates and different races. I really can't speak to the totality of it because of the fact that one of the organizations that will be doing streaming, I am a part of the streaming process. But I will say this, Lonnie, and I'll let you guys continue the conversation. We're going to have a serious conversation about how we are vetting our candidates. And we also going to have to ask the question. I'm getting ready to get to that. When I say vet, I'm getting ready to get to that. And so when you look at it, I think we have to start looking at what candidates have already brought to the seat that they're running to. What kind of work or what kind of foundation have they established for them to be able to be effective in that position? You got a lot of people who are running for judges right now who have never tried a case in a particular court that they're running in. And I got a problem with that. You got some of them that were handpicked and don't nobody know who they are, but they are running for these judgeships. So I think we've seen that. I think we've seen that in a lot of races. And then not only that, I take one race for an example, that congressional district 2 race. You have a lot of people running in that race who just recently got elected to other positions and re-elected to some positions and not have yet served a full term. And so, you just have to ask, is this fair to the electorate process? Yeah.
Someone is shooting fireworks already. We're only 15 minutes in. But no, I understand what you're saying, man. I think I am heavily against that, which I know everybody got a way that they can justify why that's done. I have people who say, well, it's the incumbent seat. And that right there alone is wrong. There is no such thing as an incumbent seat. When you win your election, that's your seat, rightfully so, for the next term of that election. But when that new election cycle runs, it's open for everyone. So I don't like when people say, well, that person the incumbent, let them stay. No, and I have people that I admire or friendships, I think, or even associations that they're in seats right now. And I'll tell them, I don't believe in, first of all, more than 2 terms. I believe in term limits. I don't think Joe Biden, Donald Trump should be running for office. I think the Democratic Party is doing a horrible job getting the black vote. I don't think they respect the black vote, and they want us to come in when it's tight to do what's right. It's hitting it. I think that I think we need to readjust these things, set some ground rules. Like you said, I think one candidate or two, and then like you said, $800,000 or whatever. That's a lot of money that you can put behind if you have 1 or 2 candidates instead of 21 candidates. It just makes sense. What's your thoughts, John? Fireman John? Now he stepped out. What you think, Josh?
I gotta agree with Womack on this. It's important we start vetting people, but more importantly, um, we gotta stop just picking people because of the association of organizations or other things that they're with, and look at seeing what they can bring and what they can do, and also if they know the jobs. We elect people who don't know the jobs. You need to know the job. You need to know the ins and outs of the job. I think that should be a question that is asked when you are qualifying for a seat.
Now, how does that affect us? I know we've been talking actually federal and state, county. How does that affect us locally?
Well, that's the same thing right now locally. Let's look at how what just transpired with the city council with their voting of the new president. Um, we need to know that we have people that are going to speak up, speak out, but know the position and know the terms of stuff. Like I think the vote happened where you're supposed to have 5 votes, but I think they or 4 votes or something like that. But they were down a number of votes, but they went on ahead and pushed it through. And then they had to come back and do another vote. Like we got to hold people accountable. And so in this city alone, uh, we are a city that our nickname needs to become accountability. We need to start being accountable to the people. Our elected officials need to hold themselves accountable. We need to hold them accountable, and we need to call them to the carpet when things aren't being done the right way that they're supposed to. When you know you got trash piled up in your neighborhood, and it only takes for the fact that there's a neighborhood meeting or something happening, the mayor or someone's coming for the trash to be picked up. You need to hold your neighborhood officers accountable, and then you need to hold your city councils accountable. But then again, I also need to hold myself accountable because I can do the same thing they did, which is make those phone calls, send those emails. So those are important as well.
So every cycle we hear that my yard is not, neighbor's yard that's abandoned hasn't not been cut. The roads are not paved until election cycle. My garbage all of a sudden starts getting picked up. Trash is cleaned up. We throw a few parties. What has the elected officials done that is long term in your community? Because I think it was the mayor of Detroit, the one that got Kwame, the one that got in trouble. He said, if your neighborhoods look bad, but your downtown is looking good, that's done by design. So, okay, you vet a candidate, right? Like y'all said, right? You vet that candidate like Womack. Again, I go back to Womack. He studied the process. He's willing to knock doors, make calls. He knows the issues. He knows the budget. He understands the job title and description of it. And then they go give it to somebody who you never heard of because they're being backed by the system. How do you stop that?
So one thing that has happened, and I want to go back to the local level. I had a conversation earlier this morning via Zoom with a good friend of mine who is on the Atlanta City Council. Me and her were talking, and we was talking about something else outside of politics, but politics, of course, came up in our conversation. And she said something that struck me because I think that as citizens of Birmingham and those of us who are a part of the political process, we understood how this kept Birmingham as a model for neighboring cities that don't have this. Birmingham, the foundation of this city and the way that we operate and the way that we handle business as relates to how we hold elected officials accountable all started through the neighborhood associations. Birmingham has a model that no other city has that they look and say, oh, this is awesome. I take for an example, then I'm going to get back to my point. I take for an example, 2 years ago, we went to Little Rock, Arkansas for the NUSA conference. And I was talking with some of the city councilors there. And when we told them we was from Birmingham, the first thing that came out their mouth is, we have just begun to build a model for our neighborhood so where we can have some groups like y'all, because we are finding out that that actually works. And as city councilors, it's making our job easy because we ain't got to figure out what's going on out there. We can go to these entities, and these entities gonna work with us so we can get back with the mayor and say, hey, to make sure that our budget looks like what our communities and our neighborhoods look like. This is what the neighborhood associations have brought before us. And so the individual that I was speaking with, my good friend that's on the Atlanta City Council, she said that I have watched in the past 25 years. Watch this, Lonnie. She said, I have watched the structure of the city of Birmingham be torn down for a special interest purpose rather than these entities continue to hold elected officials accountable. Wow. So I say that to go back to this point. You have a mayor right now who continues to degrade neighborhood associations. And the reason why I say that is because he had the opportunity and one of the largest city budgets we've ever had to put money back into the neighborhood association's budget. Guess what he did? He went and used the money for more development for downtown Birmingham. But you got neighborhood officers like myself that are saying, Mr. Mayor, your trash system that you put in place is horrible. Our city is nasty, Mr. Mayor. You cut jobs out of public works, Mr. Mayor. But yet, though, we continue to put the money downtown Birmingham. Guess what? Mayor Kwame out of Detroit is absolutely correct. This is all by design. The more that we keep blacks begging, the more that we keep blacks going up against each other within their own areas, guess what they're doing? And Darrell Quinn was the scapegoat. We get a white city council president. Guess what's going to happen? Darrell Quinn is going to run for mayor. And it's happened like that in the past. If you look at past history, most of our city council presidents who became city council president in their last term went on and ran for mayor. Some became mayor, like William Bell. Bernard Kincaid was city council president. So I say all of that to come back to this conclusion here. The only way we're going to deal with this, and there may be some that disagree, that's okay. The only way we're going to come back to being able to handle this type of situation is going back and restructuring our neighborhood associations, putting the power back into these neighborhood associations. These neighborhood associations then hold city councilors accountable. And then not only that, it also puts the heat up on the mayor that the only way your budget gonna get passed, Mr. Mayor, and the only way the city council is gonna pass your budget, you're gonna have to go back and start doing what's right about these neighborhood associations. And for years, that's exactly what they did. That's why when you had people like Burt Miller back in the day, rest his soul. And if Carol Smitherman was on here, she will tell you that when them neighborhood officers tell you that you're a one-termer, guess what? They had that type of power to galvanize the people in the neighborhood and show them proof why you should be a one-term city council. And we've gotten away from that.
Well,
and that's how we hold them.
I don't can't change the budgets anymore.
Well, I was gonna say this, Lonnie. I think the downfall of the neighborhood associations is not based at City Hall. It's based in the neighborhoods.
We can't hear you. We can't hear you, John. We can't hear you. We can't hear you, John.
To the east side.
You broke up. You were quiet for a second, John. We just heard you.
Okay. What I was saying was we one of the mandates that we had as being in the fire service, wherever our fire stations were, we had to attend those neighborhood association meetings and give reports. And what I saw was the majority, not just a few, but the majority of the neighborhood associations was dysfunctional. That's not bevied in downtown or the mayoral politics. That's bevied in people just not appetite, or you call it whatever you want to call it. But I can remember, and I can't remember the Antwon brought up Burt Miller, but I can remember there was a lady over in the Bellevue Heights Neighborhood Association. We always used to call her Miss Head. I cannot remember her name, but she was a white lady. And she was over the Bellevue Heights Neighborhood Association. And that neighborhood association had power because those people showed up to meetings. They had power because, you know, people can say what they want to say, but they're Lonnie and everybody on it, there's power in numbers. It's hard for anybody in the political realm to give anybody real credibility when you're speaking for two people. You know, they pull the attendance from a neighborhood meeting, and there's three people at the neighborhood meeting. So I think that everything we can't blame on City Hall. A lot of stuff we can, but the downfall of the neighborhood associations we can't blame, you know, on City Hall. You know that I disagree with that.
I,
The neighborhood associations has to take back the power themselves. The only way the neighborhood association is going to, those associations are going to be strong and really have vitality is they've got to do that. You know, it's got to be one neighborhood at a time. When you can start getting neighborhood associations that's back to having 15, 20, 25, 30 people show up at a neighborhood association, and then you can start having that occur all across the city, then those neighborhood associations can have power like they used to have. They don't have that anymore. And what has happened, sadly to say, is all those people that were big in the neighborhood associations back in the day, they've died off. I mean, I hate to say it like that, but that's truly what it is. And you have a younger generation of people that are coming up that don't really have the same mental fortitude. They don't have the same makeup that the older generation had as far as holding people accountable. Um, so that's why I like to, you know, disagree a little bit on putting everything on, you know, city. As far as I missed what you guys were talking about the vetting process and what goes into that. But I'll make this comment about that. Everybody has a right to run for an election, and especially on the local level when you don't have a lot of political backing from either party, Democrats or Republican, in local elections. And when I'm talking about local elections, I mean, you know, school board, city hall, even for judges, because they really can't solicit, especially judges. That Lonnie said that they can't solicit funds. So a lot of the political stuff that goes on a local level is all done by local advocacy. And the vetting process is what the voters do. The voters are the ones that have to vet people because you don't have a coalition like you had 30 years ago. You don't have that. Right now, the Democrats are so fragmented all over the city, all over the county, and all over the state. You've got 3 or 4 different Democratic organizations. And when that happens is, and I hate to say it, but when you have so many people wanting to call themselves vetting and putting forth their slate of candidates, when people in the community know a lot more about it, and then that makes it even more political in the say because people know that there's political payback, there are political favors that are being doled out. People can give money for to have an organization back them. So I think, like I said, in my opinion, the vetting process is done through the primaries. You know, we talked about earlier, Antwon talked about how the money is doled out on the Democratic level. Once again, there isn't a lot of money that's doled out on the local level. And then especially in primaries. I can't see any major political party backing, when you got 20 people running, I don't see a party getting involved with that until that's dwindled down, because we all know ain't a whole lot of Democratic money coming into Alabama on a national level, because we are a so-called red state. So, I think what Lonnie is endeavoring to do with a lot of these calls is to get out and educate people. And what I like to tell people is we've got to get outside of the box. For so long, we've operated. Yeah, we've operated. Oh, 1 minute, baby. We've operated doing the same old thing over and over and over again. And somehow or another that we think that the way that we operated 20 years ago is going to be applicable to what is happening in today's age. I'm going to say this and I'm going to leave it alone. For the last 20 years, the Republicans have been playing chess and the Democrats playing checkers. They play the long game while we endeavor to fight amongst ourselves about the least little thing we want to fight about. Until we get outside of that and start thinking about what's better for the greater good, we're going to keep dwelling at the bottom of this barrel trying to figure out, what we need to look like.
Hey, I don't think the Democrats even playing checkers. I think what's that ball that's on the pole? You hit it around and you punch it. I don't even think they playing checkers, because you have 5 black men on this post right here, each representing different facets of life, right? And I don't think either one of us is truly satisfied with the Democratic Party in the way that they reach out to black men, right? Now check this out, right? We're talking local, then we can jump back because I want to get Josh before we hang up on this on the constable. You have city council, you have 2 city council that won't be running again. That's more than likely not running again. And then you have one that's particularly running, possibly running for mayor. Then you have one that is going to be challenged so hard that it'll probably be hard to get back in. So what that is, 4, right? So that's 4 changing. Okay. Now, I just don't see Darrell O'Quinn running for mayor this time. I can see him running for it in the next election cycle, because he can say that, hey, at least I was president of CAB. I was the president of the city council. Now give me a chance, right? So then when that moves with 4 city council, possibly not, because if you run for mayor, you got to give up your seat as city council. So there's 3 with a possible 4 that'll be replaced, right? So that means the school board is going to move up naturally in Birmingham. You go from school board to city council. So you have 4 that's going to run for the city council seat. Then that leaves 4 seats open for the school board. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now you guarantee, look, in District 7, Oxmoor Valley has 3,700 votes. If you put that on the presidential election cycle, Oxmoor Valley could win, because the win number in Birmingham for every city council seat is 2,000 or 2,200. If they come out and vote, Oxmoor Valley could win in 1 district. How many more districts can that happen in? You follow what I'm saying? The reason, and I left this neighborhood association have power outside the neighborhood. That's true, because it's a neighborhood association. That's true. But the neighborhood is still the people as well. When Womack holds his meetings, or when Thomasine holds her meeting, or whoever other Madeline Green holds their meetings, they're preparing monthly for things to happen. They're educating the people. They're bringing forth possible opportunities that move dirt in their neighborhoods. They're giving you a voice for that hour and a half or whatever. So those, you're right, they shouldn't be outside the neighborhood. Stick to the neighborhood. Stick where you are. The city council should deal with their districts. The school board should deal with their districts. The county commissioner should deal with their counties. The mayor should deal with their cities. That's the way it should go. But what happens is you get some of these people who've been in office so long that they think they're the city council, or that city council person think they belong in the mayor's seat, or that mayor thinks they belong in Washington, D.C., or that county commissioner it should be mayor, or that police chief should be the freaking the top lawyer or whatever. And you know what I'm saying? We got all these people who running for these seats. Like Womack said, you have somebody who just won that's running for congressional seat. These things, how is it fair, or what do the people need? Why should I vote for you if you're going to leave in a year? Why should I vote for you if you're not going to do anything? Why should I vote for you now that you got your agenda crossed in city council? You're leaving us. This is the things that we need to fight on these different events, because to have 4 city council getting ready to move next year, that is a lot. That means that you got all this experience or expertise or knowledge about to be gone. So now that is not saying that the other 5 are safe. You understand what I'm saying? Because everybody could lose. And sometimes it is a good thing to clear out some stuff, because this city council of Birmingham has looked at as nothing but a straight vote for the current administration. When you look at it, the mayor council act, the mayor, I'm trying to get my hands right on here. The mayor and the city council are even, but in Birmingham, it's like this. But when it's actually like this, when Stephen Hoyt and LaSundra Scales and Tyson and Jonathan Austin would fight, actually that was somewhat of a good thing, because you knew something wasn't right somewhere. But if you have a commission or city council that never fights, something is absolutely wrong, because absolute power corrupts absolutely. You understand what I'm saying? Now, who belongs in these seats? You have a current mayor that people feel like they can't be beat. So what does that mean? Those people are nobody's going to run against him. So for the people, he won 23,000 votes, and I think it was like 14,000 votes against him. And which is sad, because we have 100+ people who were registered to vote. That means that we getting 10 to 15% voting, or whatever the number is. So the people who actually went out and vote doesn't have a voice. I'm not against anyone. Let me tell you, I don't make money from this mayor, from the city council, from the county commissioner, from the school boards. I don't have those contracts. I am an average voter. That's what I am. I'm knowledgeable and I vote. But I'm at the point where I don't want to vote anymore, because I'm feeling like it doesn't matter. Now, is that true? Absolutely not. Right? But when you get to the point to where you're saying in city council, none of them can be beat. So what you're going to do, the people who actually probably got a chance won't run, and the people who probably don't have a chance will run. So it'll look like that person is even more powerful. Right? John is very knowledgeable. Antwon is very knowledgeable. I always thought Womack should have ran for school board or city council. I didn't think he should have went state. I supported him because of this, because he knows Birmingham politics. John knows Birmingham politics. Keith knows Birmingham politics. But when you don't get the support, those people feel unbeatable. Right? So if they feel unbeatable,
so Lonnie, let's do this.
Go ahead. You good?
Let's do this, because I think we're getting away from one thing I want us to stay on. And John said something that I 20% agree with. Before Bernard Kincaid left office, neighborhood associations were receiving $25,000, between $50,000 to $25,000 On top of that, the Department of Economic Development through the city was sending out neighborhood newsletters. Y'all remember that? Those newsletters went to every household in the city of Birmingham. They gave you the important numbers of city departments. It told you when they're going to pick up your trash. It also gave you important dates on things that were going on within the city. So during that particular time, people knew when their neighborhood association meeting. They knew who their neighborhood officers were. Why? Because they were informed. Then after Bernard Kincaid left, had William Bell who came in. William Bell came in and cut it from 25 down to 10. That's when we had $10,000. No. After Kincaid, then you had Langford. Langford went from it being 25 to 10, from 10 to giving $2,000. He then went and bargained with the city councilors that I'll give your neighborhoods each $1 million. And they took away the money for the newsletters. They did away with all of that stuff. From there, between the early 2000s to 2010, the population as relates to attendance in neighborhood association meetings dropped drastically. Why? Because number one, between that time, they changed the CPP, which is the Citizens Participation Plan. They changed that like 2 times. So they put more restrictions on the neighborhood associations. So, okay, well, man, where are you getting to? I'm getting to that, guess what? They found out that these neighborhood associations will not allow us to do our dirty work and not be held accountable. Because if you voted a certain kind of way on that city council that affected the neighborhoods and that took money from the neighborhoods, guess what? During that time, through the leverage of the CAB, which is the Citizens Advisory Board, which is the big board of all the neighborhood associations, they were able to pull the numbers that John talked about and get back in those neighborhood associations, say, hey, we need y'all to flood City Hall. And they used to do that. And so the way that they get away, Lonnie, with what they're doing right now, and they look, quote unquote, unbeatable, is because they have silenced the mechanism that held them accountable. Not only did they silence us, but they put so many restrictions on us where people do not want to be involved anymore. So the reason why I have to disagree with John is because guess what, brother? You are absolutely correct. I'm glad he jumped back on. John is absolutely correct that guess what? That the numbers are no longer there. The people don't come out. But what he's incorrect about is the fact that there have been so many regulations and so many changes to the CPP plan over the years that cripples the way that our neighborhood associations work, that you can't do nothing without the mayor's permission now. That is in the CPP plan. The chief of staff, once upon a time, guess what? We didn't have to go through all that. And so you tell me what a neighborhood association can do with $2,000 when they used to have $25,000. And the city councilors didn't have to put so much effort in finding money in those particular areas because they already gave them enough money. So until we go back and we, number one, start making sure that people understand the importance of neighborhood associations. We, number two, make sure that city councilors understand that you cannot exist as a city councilor and be effective if you do not have strong neighborhood officers and neighborhood associations. And the third thing we have to do is make sure we have a mayor that value the importance of having these associations. Because right now we have one that does not. And you can't expect him to respect them when he never sat as a neighborhood officer or as a city councilor. Most of our city councilors were neighborhood officers.
So, and I'm gonna let Keith jump on because he hasn't been able to say anything. Keith, what do you have to say, brother? We're not gonna have a long conversation today because we're gonna start back every Sunday at 3:00, and I'm gonna be on here whether people jump on or not, man. Because I voter apathy, and again, one thing I stated before, we're having issues again with that Voters' Rights Act. Why can't we just get this thing solidified that we don't have to fight every so often? You understand what I'm saying? Well, keep his look like he's having trouble. Hold on one second. But and everything affects us. I know everybody says locally mostly affects us too, but everything affects us. I said years ago when I was in my 20s, man, I said that every black person should get $1 million in America. And I had a person to tell me that's impossible. Well, explain to me all the money we don't spend to Ukraine and all this stuff that's been going on recently. You mean to tell me we can't get something? You understand what I'm saying? Look, I'm not against Republicans. I'm not against Democrats. What I am against is when you do not do a just job for black people. You notice I never say anything about brown people because I'm going to say this and I mean this. The brown communities, whether Mexican or Indian, does not support black people. Why do we always got to fight for and just start fighting for us for a change? Everybody that has bypassed us in legislation and all of this, and I know this sounds old school thinking, but if that's the case, then why are black people still at the bottom of the totem pole? We got to fight to right to vote in 2023, which soon to be, you know, it's the holidays now. We might as well fight. We might as well say it's 2024 now. We still fighting in our communities. What has the black politician done that is long standing in our community? See, the issue is some of us.
Take a look at what Eric Hall just put there, Lonnie.
NA can create community development corps and communities move resources CDC to a.
That's what profits that I'm talking about.
That's what I'm saying, Womack. With people who know Birmingham politics, they don't get into office. Eric ran for office before. They don't get into office because they're trying to push something that is long-standing for the black community. Birmingham, Memphis, Chicago, DC, those are chocolate cities. Why do we have to apologize for being a chocolate city? 74% black, Detroit, 74% black. You don't see, has Mound Brook ever had a black politician?
No.
Has Vestavia? Hoover has one. You don't see the representation. When I say that, and I'll tell anybody, in a black community, I believe we should have black representation. Of course, other colors can come on it. It is nothing to do with other colors. But as a representation, your people should be represented by people who look like them, because a police officer can't come into my community if he's afraid of black people. That's white or black. Don't come into our community if you're afraid of us. That's why gun violence and stuff goes again. I got a 12-year-old. Tamir Rice was 12 years old. When a black cop, I think he was African or something, he shot a white woman. That police chief came off vacation to discuss that. It's not racial, but it's beneficial to be do reparations have to, hold on, we got another comment. Do reparations have to be enacted at the federal level, or can states, municipal? Now, see, California is trying to do something about reparations.
Well, to be honest with you, Tulsa is the first.
Tulsa
was the first municipality of any size to do reparations.
But look here, though, John.
Now, the problem that California is going to have is it's one thing to pass, but they ain't got no money. They can pass it. What's happening?
But look at this, though. You had your president and vice president come in and say they're not talking about reparations.
Well, let me say this. This is a big. I'm on. If y'all don't know, this is a thing that my father-in-law really educated me on, because I did not realize it was happening. But Biden, when they first got in office, they did a commission that is actually working on legislation right now for reparations. And the process that they have to go through, because it's going to have to be legislated. And we all know that it ain't happening. I'm just going to be honest with you. It's not going to happen. And from what my understanding is that they're working on the legislation to put forward so that it can be shot down, so that they can then take that legislation and go into federal court and sue the federal government for reparations. So what they're working on right now is how to come up with a figure, or how they're going to determine the amount of reparations and who's eligible for reparations. So that's coming down the pipe. It may be 5, 6, 10 years down the road, but they are on a federal level. Sheila Jackson Lee, she's leading the commission on a congressional level. But I forgot who the senator is, but it is coming. But I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna make a couple of comments. I know we're gonna be short today, Lonnie. If we're gonna talk about doing stuff on a local level, this is the problem that I've always had with the neighborhood associations, even when I was 18, 19, 20 years old. For 25 to 30 years, they got a ton of money, and very little was done in the neighborhoods other than putting up signs and doing that kind of stuff. When I started on the fire service and I started getting involved into public finance, I started to learning about ways that other cities were doing business, and not just minority cities. I started looking at how other cities were taking the capital raising for their neighborhoods out of City Hall. And the way they were doing that was they were taking their dollars that were allocated, and instead of going to conferences, instead of going to all these things, they started going to the IRS and enacting what they call CDEs and CDFIs. A CDE is a community development entity. It has the right to go after new market tax credit dollars. A CDFI is a small business banking institution that a community can have. What I've always said, and I've been saying this for the last 15 years, is the only way that our neighborhoods are going to be strong again is they've got to take control of their own assets. And what I mean is you have got to create entities that will allow you to raise money so that you are no longer emboldened or in beholden, to City Hall. That's the problem right now with our neighborhood associations. They can't do anything because they got no money. And
one second, John.
Yep.
Antwon Womack just discussed this. Was it yesterday or this has been a long weekend? It was yesterday or whatever. Friday. Saturday, whatever day it was. We just discussed a way to do this, and I said that I don't think most of the people won't do it, the city council wide, because it'll take power from them. But if a city council,
Lonnie, I agree with you though, Lonnie. But this is the point that I tried to make is because let me tell you what I did. When Larry got in office, he brought over Nigel Roberts from the county, from Fairfield, to be over community development. I went to Nigel and I said, Nigel, we've got to get the power back in the communities. And Nigel was real blunt to me. He said people in this, where he worked at in City Hall, don't want that to happen. And so I said, listen, why can't the neighborhood associations take their money that they're being allocated and do it on their own? He said they can, but nobody's pushing for them to do it. And so I started going to neighborhood association meetings when I was a firefighter. And I said, man, listen, take y'all money that y'all got allocated. It only costs $500 to create a community development entity and be registered with the IRS. So you can then go to the Enterprise Foundation, all these foundations that are already currently getting new market tax credit dollars. What it does, Lonnie, I'm gonna explain this. I'm gonna be real quick. What it does is it does two things. the first thing it does is it empowers the people that are in the neighborhoods. They know that, man, we're gonna be the ones making decisions on where the money goes. We're gonna be the one making decisions on what we want in our neighborhood. It's gonna be up to us to make those decisions, because you got to have a board. You got to have a board of people that runs that community development. Then you got to have a board that says how you're gonna lend your money out. So all those things, that's one way. The other part of it is that there are hundreds of millions of dollars that are allocated every year to new markets tax credits that we are losing to people that don't look like us, because they're coming into our communities using those dollars to do the same thing that we could be doing. The project that they're doing over in Inslee, a lot at Inslee High School, a lot of that money is new market tax credit dollars. So my thing of it is, you set up a community development entity, then you set up a CHOTO. Everybody know what a CHOTO is, a community development organization. You can't have one without the other one, because your community development organization is the one that sets your policies and goes on to what you're going to do in your community, what kind of retail you want, what kind of housing you want. See, right now everything is centralized, and it's centralized to keep the power in the more affluent communities. That's why the planning commission got so much power at City Hall. That's why, what the other one is, the one they had to do the signs and all that kind of stuff. That's why in the white areas of town, they have so much power, because that's where the retail and everything is centralized, located at. The only way you're going to be able to change that, and listen to me, Antwon, I applaud what you're trying to do, but the only way you're going to be able to change, and you're going to be able to get power as a neighborhood officer, go into your neighborhood meeting and say, listen, this is what we're going to do. Put yourself on a path. I can walk you through it. It's easy to do it. It will cost you $1,500 to do a nonprofit and to set up your CDE out of money that you get, out of money that you raise. And once one neighborhood do it, you can take that same plan to all 99 neighborhoods. I'm trying to think how it is. Is it 99 neighborhoods, and is 13 communities, 29 communities? However it's broke up. But you could do that on a level, man, that will change how what the name of this, the CBE, what you called a minute ago, Antwon, with all the neighborhoods, the associations. Y'all got a name?
The CAB.
CAB. You could change the way they operate and watch this right here. The only way y'all gonna get power out of the mayor's office is you gotta take it. As long as you're asking for stuff, I'm just being honest with you. He don't see no benefit in it. I'm gonna tell you why the politicians, especially the one that's in the mayor's office now, don't see no benefit in it. It's something that you said. It does not benefit him. He has never done anything community-wide. So when he looks at something, he looks at the organization that he has built. And I told Lonnie this. He has built a powerful organization, but the organization is not locally based.
Nope.
It's not. I hate to say it, but it's not. His money is not raised here locally. His money is raised on a national level. And the only way you beat somebody raising money on a national level, you've got to create in the neighborhoods what was created 20 years ago, so that you have a groundswell of people that are fed up and tired of the stuff that they've been getting. That's the only way it's gonna change. And a guy like you, Antwon,
so let me
change that.
Let me say this, John. It's so funny you saying this. So funny. That's why I didn't interrupt you. That's why I ain't want to say nothing. It's because I told Lonnie, I said, we have to put the power back into the hands of the people. And I told him how we were going to do it. You just verbatimly said everything I said. I said, not only that, I said, there are big companies right now that want to give free money away with no strings attached to places like Birmingham, where we develop these 501c3s. I said that. And when we develop these 501c3s, what city councilors should do, but you're right, John, they're not, because they want to lose their power. These city councilors should sit down with every board member of these 501c3s and these entities and talk about from their perspective as a city council what monies are out there and how they're going to help them get that money. Now, guess what it does when we do this? It does three things. It leverage the power of the mayor, because then you can look at the mayor and say, you know what, Mr. Mayor, right now in our 501c3, we got well over $2 million of money that has been given for purpose projects within our neighborhoods. The second thing it does, it puts your city council on notice that, Madam Councilor, Mr. Councilor, if you do not do your job as city councilor and start telling the mayor to divide that budget up accordingly in our neighborhoods, then guess what we're going to do? We're going to get you out of there. And the third thing to do when you give the people the power through these 501c3s, it calls the accountability to fall back on the people. Because at that point, then guess what, John? You are absolutely correct. You ain't got to go to your city council and go to city hall and say, we trying to do this project in the neighborhood. We trying to do that. No, those of us who are neighborhood officers, we can then go sit down with those 501c3s in our neighborhoods and collaboratively say, hey, we got this project. We got that project. We know the grant you just got. The description of that grant talks about some of these issues. Let's use some of that money over here. And then it also allows you for administrative stuff like getting the word out about neighborhood associations, making sure that the schools got certain things. It allows you to do that. And so one thing that I do believe that we do have to do is that, and Eric Hall just said it, we got to get rid of these neighborhood officers who are complacent and they don't want to do the extra leg work of getting out there grassroots, getting people back active in the neighborhood association. Magnolia Cook, Hezekiah Jackson, who else was some strong officers back then that are still there? You had Eleanor Hall, Jimmy Coleman. Man, you had a lot of them when I was coming through. You know what we used to do? They did not wait on City Hall to send out those newsletters. Miss Magnolia Cook got me. I was staying at Tuxedo Projects. Got me and about 8 other them young men. And back then, $5 was a lot of money to us in the 90s. Gave us $5 a piece, and she took us. She brought us back Subway. We had on a Sunday and a Saturday, we had a stack of flyers, and she'll have Mr. Cook walk with us in neighborhoods streets throughout the neighborhood, putting flyers in the doors. Sure did. And guess what? People knew. So as officers, what we're going to have to do is stop being so codependent upon City Hall. We're going to have to go back to what you said, John. We're going to have to use our neighborhood money, which the CPP plan does encourage neighborhoods to create 501c3s. They do encourage you to use your money for that. And we're going to have to go back and we're going to have to start using our money on things that we have power over, that after we create these entities, the city cannot tell us what we can and cannot do with these entities. And we're also going to have to start holding people accountable that getting in the way of projects, development within our neighborhoods that so-called call themselves a part of the neighborhood associations. You know, so we're going to have to do that. And so I appreciate this conversation, and I appreciate what you mentioned. I appreciate that.
Check this out, Antwon. You got to move in silence, though, my brother. You're gonna have to start doing this stuff in silence, because there are parties and people that don't want neighborhoods to have power. So you're gonna have to when you start trying to set this stuff up, you're gonna have to do this stuff, man, with 2 or 3 people. You can't go to City Hall and start telling them what you're doing and telling folks what you're doing. They can't know what you're doing after you done did it, because they're going to be against it, and they're going to think of all kind of reasons for you not to be able to do it. Well,
you asking you and all of that.
this, and I don't think you're supposed to do it like this. So what you got to do, man, is do it in silence. I hate to say it like that. But you know, God said you're supposed to move silently sometimes. Sometimes you can't tell everybody what you're trying to do. Move quietly, man. When you're trying to set this stuff up, set them up quietly. Go around different neighborhoods and get that stuff set up, because everybody on this call knows that money is power in politics. Everybody know that. Everybody know what money is, how the money drives, especially in a city like Birmingham, where, to be honest with you, ain't a lot of money in inner city Birmingham, urban Birmingham. There's not a lot of money. There's money, but there's not a lot of political money. Let me rephrase that. There's not a lot of political money. And what we have not done historically is, they do it very well on a national level, but historically on a local level, we have not pushed small dollar donations enough. We what we look after is $300, $500. Well, we've got to get back to, and I heard President Obama say this a couple of weeks ago when he was speaking up at his, what they were doing in his library at. He was saying, in order to take back the political gains that we've lost, we've got to get back to ground level activism. And what he said was, that means if somebody can give you $1, take $1. And we've got to get out and start encouraging people to give $1. Y'all do know that's what got Randall elected. If you don't know that, that's what got Randall elected. Randall brought them guys out of DC here with that national strategy. And they brought a national strategy, but they also brought in internet, call logs, call books, and all this kind of stuff. And they analyzed pockets of people that were not voting. Not people that were voting. Randall won by targeting people that were not voting. Got those people galvanized, and his galvanization was public safety. So, but again.
And how would that help today when you got from 1 violent crime a day to now 4 a day average?
And notice this right here. And notice now, this what, you know, this is the problem I got with politicians. Everything that he ran on, have you heard him get on TV and say anything about crime?
Nope.
Have anybody heard him get on TV and say anything?
Nah,
when he was running, every other day he was on there talking about what William Bell wasn't doing about crime.
Well, when it happened down at the what's that place downtown? Right
Railroad
by Street. Not railroad. It was railroad, but it was also that club, like that's owned by the Williams family, Hunter Williams family.
Oh, I don't tell.
Workplace. When them teenagers did something down there. Quick, hold on one second, guys. Thank you all for joining us. Not necessarily political.
I keep seeing these good questions coming around.
I'm gonna do it. I'm doing that. I'm producing as we talk. These are the comments that's coming from the people. Not necessarily political. Thank you all. 3 p.m. on Sundays, Concerned Citizen series right now. What is the difference between HOA and neighborhood? HOA is like your particular neighborhood, that you live in. Guy Fletcher is from Mobile, Alabama. Everybody. The neighborhood association is like the actual community as a whole. Let's just do it that way to keep it simple.
What a neighborhood association is, that's covenants about property that's in a certain community. Like,
right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
residences. That's what a HOA is. A neighborhood association is created by city government.
Yeah, if you have a neighborhood association, how does that influence the city council? Because if you have a neighborhood association that has 100 people coming tonight on a monthly night, or compared to 3, they're going to listen to that 100 people, because that 100 people can turn it to 10,000.
Yeah, man.
And they can vote it out there. Greg Jones said, I think everybody needs to Google Dr. Claude Anderson. I believe it, especially those 4 layers when you own your school, your banks, your politicians, all of that. This right here, I'm telling y'all, Dr. Claude Anderson did a great job at that. But a lot of people tend to shy away from him for some stuff in the past. But I want to shift for 1 second. Keith hasn't said anything because we actually got to get ready to go. But Josh, I need you to tell the people to define what is. I know that's the problem we have here. That's what Guy Fletcher said. Josh, what is a constable? What is and why am I asking you what is the job of a constable?
Definitely. So a constable is this. Let me start there. A constable is a law enforcement arm of the courts. Most people will commonly call us process servers. Our job is to share out and serve the papers of the matters of cases in the that are pending in legalization in court. Excuse me, y'all. But also there are several other layers to being a constable. We are also forest range wardens in Jefferson County. Many constables in different states and different parts of the state of Alabama have different attributes, different rights that they can do. We're also just as the same formation as a sheriff or a police chief. Um, we also commonly in other areas, you may hear of constables arresting people. You could do that here if you are one a post, but also have a connection and relationship with your sheriff's office and your police chief, and also um, constables are, as I said again, one of the only three law enforcement officers that are elected. You have your attorney general, you have your sheriff, and then you have constable that are elected here in Alabama. And the reason why Lonnie is asking me this question, and y'all, I'm sorry I'm rushing, but I just want to make sure that I'm iterating everything out. I am running for constable in District 55 of Jefferson County, and even though this show is not necessarily political, I'm asking for your support, your votes, and your prayers as I take this journey to become a constable and bring transparency, accountability, and dependability back to the office of constable. Yeah.
Keith, I don't know. We'll come back, but we gotta get ready to end this, ladies and gentlemen. Saying this is gonna be a short day, but will be back next Sunday. To all who was dealing with the Auburn and Alabama Iron Bowl, I hope you got your outcome. Go LSU.
Roll Tide.
But I think I really appreciate these comments and questions that was asked today. As the community, let me put this out here to make sure that we're giving what we are concerned citizens of Birmingham. Anyone can join this. Some people were supposed to join today, and I don't know why they didn't. I'm not concerned anymore. I am too tired to keep trying to bring people along or believe in me. You know, and I say this to say this right here. I was questioning some of my friends, and hold on, we got another comment. I want to make sure we get it. It needs to be hold a lot of changes that need to be made. Some people that are for certain people that are wrong, and they have officials that is down with City Hall, but they tell you one thing, then lie and say they didn't say it. I am Westwood right. Basically, once before they get in office, they saying one thing. When they get in office, they are totally different. And we've all seen that. That's on this call. But back to what I was saying. I was talking to a couple of people. I was like, man, I think I can run one more time. I think I really got it in me. And these people are telling me, oh no, you can't do it. And oh, you can't do that. And I want to use me as an example for people because I believe there are some people out there that want to run, but their friends are telling them not to. Listen to those people, but don't pay attention for real. If it's meant for you, because Josh was told not to run, Womack was told not to run, Keith was told not to run, I was told not to run. Again, you got 5 different people on this call from different walks of life, and the same thing is being told to them. If it's meant for you to run or do whatever it is, if it's to build icicles in the summertime, find a way and figure out and do it. Quit letting these people, when I tell you, right, before I got my GED, people told me I couldn't get my GED. Before I got my college degrees, people told me I couldn't get my college degree. Before I ran one marathon, people told me I couldn't run a mile. Now I'm an ultra marathon runner, meaning that I ran 26 miles, but I go above and beyond with 39.48 point miles. I've done this. I got proof. I'm in records to do this. I've ran these races. I've ran for office, but I want people to realize these things when it comes to running for office. It's hard. I didn't have the big teams, right? What the results I got, my base now was about 1,000 to 1,200. That's my base politically if I run. I got that with a few people, a small group of people who said, Lonnie, I believe in you. I'm going to help you. And a lot of these people on this call right now. Why am I saying all this? Because there's somebody who needs to be running. Because Womack, when I tell you, he had just said what John was saying just a few minutes ago. He almost verbatim. It's like you can tell when something is meant to be put to the people because the people need to know that. See, I'm for balance. Remember this statement. All 99 won Birmingham because you're going to hear it. You're going to hear it again, and you're going to hear it from me. All 99 won Birmingham. Right? Because I believe in balance. I believe that the people should have the power. I am for 100% going against the system. 100% when the system is wrong. But if you're out there and you think you need to fight and fight for the people and you feel like you're not going to get the support, there's a chance you may not. But one guaranteed way that you will not succeed if you don't try. Guaranteed you will not with a chance of winning or the chance of getting your message out if you do not present it to the people. There are people like Josephine Williams who has been dealing with a flood issue in her neighborhood. Check this now. Now houses in her neighborhood can go up to $500,000. And she's suffering from a flood issue because she's in the older part of the neighborhood. And when they built it, they built the neighborhood up on hills. So that flood comes down to her yard. She's had people come over there campaigning. Oh, if I get in, I'm going to help you. She got city councils, mayors to go over there, said they was going to help her, and they didn't. This is stuff that belongs to the people. She deserves to be treated fairly like everybody else. Right? The neighborhood should have power. Now, should the neighborhood presidents be in there 30, 40 years like Eric Hall was saying? Absolutely not. Because you can't change something once you become part of that system because you starting to get these invites. So your views a bit. So remember, let's see, whenever you're not in lockstep with the corrupt system, of course, they're going to encourage you not to get involved because you're not a part of it. See what I'm saying? That's what I'm telling y'all. Remember, there's going to be a possible 4 seats up in the city council in 2025. How would I know that? I'm telling you, it's going to be about 4, 3 to 4. What happens is that's a lot of movement. Yes, corporations run politics, money run politics, but you know what can beat money and corruption? You getting out to vote. Because it's easy to control 20,000 when you these corporations, but it's hard to control 100,000. If Birmingham, we're the civil rights capital of the world, we should be taught to vote from youth, from kindergarten up. We should be talking about voting. So when it's time to vote, we go out there and vote just like we get our driver's license. We should go out there and vote because it changes things. Voter apathy also kills your neighborhood. When they kill the neighborhood associations, they kill a voice for certain people that was least trying to help. When those people feel powerless, what do? Things could change. We still got time because this is going to be one of the last election cycles in Birmingham, Alabama, that the black vote really does matter. Because if you look at it, and this is nothing against Sylvia Swain, because I think she ran a brilliant campaign, but white people vote. And you saw that she beat out 6 other people or whatever it was. You understand what I'm saying? They got out and voted. If 75% black people and only 20% vote, but there's 35% white people and 80 to 85% vote, that's how Randall Whitford got in. You understand? He also got some of the white vote. But see, if you look at Valerie Abbott, Darrell O'Quinn, and Hunter Williams, they stick together. If you look like what Antwon said about the white vote earlier, about the Republicans, they throw in 1, possibly 2. Now, the congressional seat is something I've never seen with it, but it's a new seat, so I guess it's considered like a new seat. They got 13 running, but the average, they only throw in 1 or 2 because that way they can help more. And as I close this thing out, if there's someone who's watching this or will watch it, because I laugh at people now because you may see 5 people watching the show, but I guarantee you go back and look at the numbers, 12,000. You understand what I'm saying? So people watch it after maybe live so their name won't pop up. But if you're deciding to run, please get out there. I called some candidates that's running right now, and I said, hey, how can we help? Come to this meeting Josh is about to go to right now. And they told me, no, Lonnie, I'll wait. I don't want this to happen. I don't want that to happen. But I'm finna go and we're gonna go and give Josh some strategies. We're going to give some other people that's coming, some insight, some stuff that doesn't cost a lot of money. You don't have to spend a lot of money. It's going to take some money. But as new candidates, it takes money, but you can do stuff cheaper. Because there are some people who be doing these things that charge you $8,000, $10,000 to help you. What we're about to give Josh is valuable information, and we're not charging anything. But when I reached out to those candidates, they said, no, man, people be stealing ideas or no, because, whatever reason, we got our own thing going on. Okay. Like Jay-Z said, okay. And that was so powerful when he tell you, look at that video, still a nigga. That video shows you, he giving you all this information. He's like, okay, don't listen to it. Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, I just want to say real quickly, the power that be of this city are you, the people. And I think we as people have forgotten the power that we have. Lenny blew my mind, y'all, when he allowed me to meet one of my political heroes, and he didn't realize it. She was one of the first African American city councilwomen of this city, and she said something to me that was powerful. She said, "If you ever decide to lose your power, don't go vote. But if you decide to keep your power, go vote." That threw me. First off, the fact that she talked to me. Secondly, the fact that she shared that with me. And so I got to remind people to get out and vote. Whether you vote for me, whether you vote for whoever, go vote. But I do want y'all to realize how strategic the Republican Party is right now. And I know we're not party people, but I'm running on the Democratic ticket. I believe in building what the party is supposed to be, which is for the people. But in this constable race, I have a primary against another Democrat. But whomever wins this primary has to go against a Trumper, a diehard Trumper. Never can I remember that there's ever been a Republican uh, constable for District 55. Never have I ever can I remember that. It was probably when I was a baby, but at this point, I've never seen that before. So they're coming and they're saying we're gonna go from the smallest seat to the highest seat. So we got to put our powers together. We got to get out and vote. We have to be intelligent about stuff. And I'll say it this way: stop thinking race, start thinking people. Because every time you think with race, you end up with some. Never mind. Go vote. Be a part of the voting factor. And remember, you have a power. You have the power because I guarantee you, when it's time for somebody else's election, they're gonna come to your door. They're gonna knock on your door. They're gonna offer you some canned goods. They're gonna all these things because they realize their only goal is to get you to remember their name. So I'm gonna get you to remember my name and tell you I'm Joshua J. Raby, and I'm running for constable in District 55, and I need your support, your vote, and if you want to give a donation, you can do that as well. But that's all I have to say.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, next Sunday, 3 o'clock. I'm hoping that these young gentlemen and many more come on because voter apathy is the primary goal right now. Killing it or eradicating or slowing it down. Uh, we got to get out there and vote, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you, you can't keep sitting back and saying nothing's changing, but you're not voting. We just literally had we had a special election, then we had a runoff to the special election. Here's the funny thing about it: the runoff to the special election had more votes than the special election did because there was money that was able to push it. But the people got out and voted. There's a plan, there's a strategy to campaign, there's a science to it. It's not just yard signs and t-shirts. There's science to it. Because one thing I believe, Birmingham, Alabama, the people who control the politics here, they got the 2,200 votes down pat. They can get 2,200 votes and they sleep now. That's city council. You take a city council race, we got 20,000 people per district, a little bit more, and then you only got to have 2,000 to win. You understand what I'm saying? That's voter apathy. That's a problem. They know that you may have 5,000, 3,000 people to come out and vote, whatever the number is. You'll probably average about 5,000, but you're going to have 4 or 5 people running in it. So that one person who they want to get in there, I told the person who sits on the city council right now, I said, how does it feel to know that you already won? And that person looked at me strange, and that person won. Sometimes you can tell the ones who they're going to back and who's going to win, right?
Hey, let's not forget we got a special election in January too.
We got
District 16.
Oh yeah. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to sign off now. Next Sunday, 3 p.m., we're going to come back. We're going to talk again about voter apathy. That's the primary goal of it, because we didn't hit how Birmingham has gone from number 1 in the state to number 4, and we're averaging about 3 to 4 murders now. So we're going to get back in. John, I appreciate you. Want to say goodbye, John, Josh, and Keith?
Hey, well, Lonnie, again, I appreciate the opportunity, and I'm looking forward to being on these calls with you to talk about the subjects that are near and dear to all of us. But the biggest one is what you're talking about, and it's voter apathy, and how can we affect that? Appreciate it.
Josh.
Hey, thank you so much, Lonnie, for always letting us be able to vent, tell the truth, and not hold out what we believe. And let's continue this conversation on voter apathy, and let's get people engaged. Let's really hear from the voters and re-engage and reunite them.
Keith, say your hi and bye. I don't know if something's going on with Keith phone.
I'm Keith Williams, and I want to say thank you for letting me be here. I'll be back next week.
See y'all later. Thank you.